Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing on this Monday? Happy Monday. Hopefully, everybody's having a great start to the week. Hopefully, you're all having a great start to the day, having a good Monday. What is going on, folks? Shout out to the people in the chat. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. So, the off season is officially here. Um, Baseball season has officially come to an end. So we're probably looking at 140 days till opening day. So it's going to be a long off season, but it should be a pretty fun off season. It's going to be an interesting off season. And the 2025 World Series champs are the Los Angeles Dodgers. Back-to-back championships for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Congratulations to them for going back-to-back. They're the first team since the 1998 New York Yankees to go back-to-back. But what a World Series that was! I want to talk about the World Series real quick before we get into the off season and which direction the Yankees are going to head in, because this is going to be an interesting off season for the Yankees. There's really no telling what they're going to do. I mean, we never know in the previous years, but this off season, I don't know. It could go in a bunch of different directions. But to talk about the World Series, though, that was one of the best World Series I have ever watched, that I have ever witnessed. That one, was one of the few non-Yankee World Series games that I ended up watching. And I had a feeling this World Series was going to be a really good one. I had predicted the Dodgers winning the World Series in 6 games, but it ended up going the whole 7. This World Series, it brought you everything that you could have possibly asked for. Intense moments with the pitching, intense moments with the at-bats, extra innings. I mean, we almost saw a brawl between both teams, and in all honesty, even though I predicted that the Dodgers were going to win, even though I predicted 6 games, I was right in my prediction that the Dodgers were going to win the World Series, no doubt. But the Blue Jays definitely put up a great fight against the Dodgers. I felt like, at one point, especially in that Game 7, that World Series belonged to them. It was, to me, it was in their hands. But what made the difference was the Dodgers doing the small things, just coming through at the right place, right time. Because in all honesty, Dodgers offense, when you look at it as a whole, it wasn't the greatest. The offense didn't perform. To me, it didn't perform the way I thought they would have performed. Now, there was a few guys that definitely shined, right? Shohei Ohtani certainly shined in the World Series. I mean, he had some success, but there was other guys that I expected to play better, but those guys did come through in certain clutch moments when they needed to, when it truly mattered, right? And that's how you ultimately end up winning in the postseason. That's how you ultimately end up winning championships. It's just, you may not have, you're not going to necessarily have the best performance. You're not going to always perform to the best of your abilities, but some of those things are forgotten about, or folks forget about when you come through in clutch moments. And that's exactly what happened with the Dodgers in that Game 7, right? I mean, Game 7, it was just some of the little things that they did that was starting to where the momentum was starting to shift in their direction. The Blue Jays had plenty of opportunities to win that Game 7. They could have won it in Game 6, but Game 6, we all saw what happened. You had guys on second and third, nobody out. First batter comes. There was a pitching change. After that pitching change, the first batter comes up. I believe that was. I want to say it was Barger or Clement. I forget, but they pop out in foul territory, and then next batter up, I believe was Jimenez. Right, he hits a pop out. Kike Hernandez runs in, makes the catch, and then gets the run out at second. the game-ending play to a Game 7. And, Game 7 was a thriller, another game that went extra innings, went 11 innings. Didn't go 18 like it did last week, but it went 11 innings, and what a World Series that was, right? Again, everything that you could have asked for in that Game 7, Game 7 absolutely delivered. But the difference was the Dodgers came through when it truly mattered, and the Blue Jays had opportunities to come, secure Game 7, to secure their first championship in 32 years, but just could not come through, execute on the opportunities that was given to them. The Blue Jays had some opportunities; they really did. But again, with the Dodgers, everything that they did, just the small things and all the moves that they made, right? They were very calculated. Ultimately, they ended up winning the World Series. Honestly, we could be mad about it, we could be upset about it, but they earned it. They earned their right to win the World Series, and here we are. Back-to-back World Series champs, 24 and 25. Your Los Angeles Dodgers. So what's next? What's 2026 gonna look like? What's this offseason going to look like? So there's going to be a lot of action this offseason. Once again, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. And when it comes to the New York Yankees, honestly, they could go in a few different directions. So they have a lot of decisions to make. Who knows what this 2026 season is going to bring. But, I'm excited, though. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it. Even though offseason stinks, hopefully you're all into other sports that you can watch. If not, then hopefully, you all keep yourselves busy and find something fun to do. And also, go vote in the poll for me. Let me know what you all think of the poll. Let me know let me know what you all are thinking. But let me say what's up to the chat real quick. I've been ranting for about almost 10 minutes, but let me say what's up. We got Jonathan, first person in the building. How's it going? We got Beagle in the building. What's up, John, the Beagle Dad? We got you in the building. Stephen B is in the building. Joseph Salvatore is in the building. Pixelmon is in the building. Jacob Petruzzi's in the building. Oliver Garrett is in the building. What is up? Dev Finch is in the building. Ronnie Green is in the building. What up, Ronnie? What's going on, bro? Who else we got? We got Gene in the building. Is it true that Hal Steinbrenner wants to cut the payroll? Well, I'll say this. It's been something that he's been talking about for a really long time. Whether or not it's going to happen, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, the way I see it is, if he wants the Yankees, if he's going to compete for a championship, he's going to have to spend money, right? He's going to have to spend money. He's going to have to go over that luxury tax. But how much money is he willing to spend? That's the question, right? A lot of people are always saying, what's Cashman going to do? I mean, we know I'm sure Cashman has an idea of what he wants to do, but as far as the money that's going to be spent, that's up to Hal Steinbrenner. However, it's up to him how much money he wants to spend in free agency, and what kind of money he's going to allow Cashman to spend. So it's more or less on Hal than Brian Cashman. But Brian Cashman has to go out there and try to get the deal done. So that's his job. And it's going to be interesting because this is Cashman 2026. Cashman's contract is going to be up. So you got to wonder if after the 2026 season, does he renew his contract as a GM, or does he step away from GM duties and continue his role as senior vice president for the organization? So the Yankees, could very well go in a different direction if Cashman is not the GM. I mean, again, we don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but he's been with the organization a long time. But let's see what happens after the 2026 season. What's up, Katie? How's it going? How are you? But I wanted to pull up some things on the screen. All right. Just some stuff just some slides that I made, just to kind of share with all of you. All right. This first one I'm going to pull up. Right. These are just some important dates in the off season. All right. So, as you all know, a lot of players have opted out for free agency. A lot of players have there's club options, player options. So there's a lot of players that opted out for free agency, and there's a lot of players whose contracts have ended that are free agents now. And we'll see what happens during the off season. Now, just some important dates that I thought to share with all of you. November 6th, we have a deadline to make the qualifying offer to any player that is a free agent and that is eligible to receive a qualifying offer. So teams can, by November 6th, they can make a qualifying offer to any player that is eligible, that is a free agent. Okay. Also on November 6th, free agency begins. So 5 days after the World Series, free agency begins. So the World Series ended on November 1st, which was on Saturday. And that's when free agency will officially begin. But in the meantime, between now up until November 6th, free agents can only negotiate with the teams that they were in, that they played for during the regular season. But then on November 6th, it's open season. It's open season for all teams to start negotiating with free agents. Okay. Also, there's also the opt-out decision. So if it's a club option, right? If it's a club option for a contract on an opt-out, the clubs can make that decision whether or not, whether or not they want to move on from a player. The player, if it's a player option, the player can decide whether or not they want to exercise their option and stay with the team or opt out of the current contract that they're in and go test the free agent market. Okay. Now, next one, November 11th through the 13th, you got the GM meetings in Las Vegas. Now, generally speaking, with the GM meetings in Las Vegas, typically what happens there. Let me make sure I got my dates right. Yeah, so November 11th through the 13th, GM meetings, I did have my dates right. So the GM meetings, usually it's to handle any off-the-field matters like rule changes and stuff like that. Deals inevitably, yes, deals do get discussed. Sometimes deals are completed, right? But a lot of times, there's a lot of groundwork that's often laid out for any trades or anything or any negotiating, right? So that might be completed at a later date. So it's a lot of meeting up and just talking about off the field matters involving rules and what to look for in the 2026 season. And sometimes you might see some deals get announced. All right. Now, what's up, Susan? How's it going? Brooklyn's in the house. What's going on, Susan? Now, on November 18th, qualifying offer decisions. This is where if players are offered a qualifying offer decision, they have to decide on that date by November 18th whether or not they want to accept the QO or they want to decline the QO and go test the free agent market. Also worth noting, on November 18th, this is also a deadline to protect minor leaguers from the Rule 5 draft and adding them to the 40-man roster. Okay, so if any baseball team, whether it's the Yankees or any of the other 31 teams in Major League Baseball, if there are minor league players that they don't want to lose to the Rule 5, they have to add them to the 40-man roster. Of course, they have to make room on the 40-man roster. So there's players that they have to take off the 40-man roster in order to protect these minor league players that they want to protect. If not, they will be exposed to the Rule 5 draft. And at that point, any team that wants those players that are exposed to the Rule 5 draft can sign these players to their organization. All right. Now, November 18th through the 20th, you got the owners' meetings in New York. Okay. So this is, where all the owners meet, obviously, right? So this is big picture business matters. Not any hot stove news or rumors or anything like that. So any business matters that needs to be handled, anything that needs to be voted on or approved. This typically is, what happens during owners meetings. Unless if there's any plan or strategy, negotiation, stuff like that. This is, what happens at owners meetings. Okay. My friend Brad is in the building. What's up, Brad? How's it going, dude? Joining us from the land down under. Now, next one is November 21st. It is the non-tender deadline. Okay. So this is the deadline, right, for teams to offer their pre-arbitration or arbitration-eligible players a contract for 2026. The contracts don't have to be signed yet. An offer just has to be extended. That is it. Okay. Players who do not receive a contract offer before the deadline, they are considered non-tendered, and they immediately become free agents. Okay. And no, it is also said here that notable players are non-tendered every offseason as teams determine their salary. So, this is, so I feel like, obviously players that are up for arbitration, they're going to get an they'll receive an offer, right? If teams are interested in keeping them on the team, they're going to receive an offer. If not, again, they do become free agents. All right. And the big one, the last one that I'll go over real quick. So December 7th through the 10th, this is the big one right here, folks. These are the winter meetings in Orlando. That's where their winter meetings are going to be this season. Last year it was in Dallas, Texas. This year it's in Orlando, Florida. So a lot happens during the winter meetings. Typically you hear, there's a lot of hot stove reports, a lot of signings going down, right? The big news when Juan Soto ended up signing with the New York Mets on a record contract. And you heard about there was a lot of other news of players signing with their respective teams. So December 7th through the 10th, these are big dates right here. Those are the biggest dates in the off season to look forward to look at, because there's a lot of deals that get done. There's a lot of discussions, a lot of hot stove, a lot of rumors. So this is going to be like the most exciting part of the off season. Is the winter meetings in Orlando. And Brad, to answer your question, Florida is in the same time zone as New York. Yes. So they are in the same time zone. But like I was saying, the winter meetings are in Orlando. It's just 3-4 days of hot stove deals being discussed. So a lot of chatter. This is the most fun. Now, there's always going to be rumors. There's always going to be a lot of clickbait. But of course, I tell folks all the time, be careful with that stuff, because, we truly don't know if some of this stuff is true, or if it's just clickbait. I would just say look out for the look out for the beat writers, like the big ones, like Jeff Passan, Ken Rosenthal, right? Jack Curry, guys like that, that will break out news like this. Okay, but those are some of the dates that I wanted to go over. Let me know what you guys and gals think. But this, like I said, this off season is going to be a really interesting one. So. Mattingly is on the Contemporary Baseball Era Committee as a possible Hall of Fame vote. I mean, I don't see why not. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I had to take a sip of my water. Got a little thirsty there. So, but yeah, but as far as the New York Yankees go, there really is no telling what like I was saying earlier, what direction that they're going to head in. There's definitely a lot of decisions that they're going to have to make this off season when it comes to some of their free agents, some of the arbitration eligible players. Right now, I did want to bring this up. Let me see if I have it. If not, I'll have to look for it. I'll pull this one up actually. So this is some money that is committed for 2026, right? So you're going to have some money on the books for the New York Yankees that is already on the books. So this is about $168.25 million already in the books for 2026. So Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Ryan McMahon, their contracts are going to be already in the books, right, for 2026. It is worth noting that guys like DJ LeMahieu, his contract is still going to remain, even though he was released. He has the Yankees are going to pay him for just one more season, which is going to be $15 million. It is also worth noting that Aaron Hicks's contract finally is coming off the books for the New York Yankees. Okay, so the Yankees, I literally just mentioned that. So no, I was talking about how Hicks's contract is off the books, but DJ LeMahieu's contract is still on there for one more season. But these contracts right here this is the money that's committed for 2026, and so this is all guaranteed. So $168.25 million is already on the books for the Yankees. But yeah, $1 million buyout for Hicks, right? So, and then they have to pay $15 million for DJ's contract, and then DJ will be off the books after 2026. Now, I want to bring this slide up right here. These are going to be some of the arbitration eligible players. Okay. Now, you see, there's a whole list of players, right, that are eligible for arbitration. All right, Jazz Chisholm Jr., David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, Clark Schmidt, Anthony Volpe, Mark Leiter Jr., Caballero, Luis Hill, Fernando Cruz, Ian Hamilton, and Jake Bird, Oswaldo Cabrera, Jake Cousins, Scott Efros. These are players that are eligible for arbitration. Now, there's a few guys on this list that I don't foresee coming back. All right. I mean, one guy I don't expect the Yankees not coming back. For sure, I would say Scott Efros. I mean, Scott Efros has had barely any playing time since he's been traded to the Yankees. If you all remember, Scott Efros was traded to the Yankees during the 2022 trade deadline, but he's been just absolutely injury prone since he's been a Yankee. The guy's just he's never been able to stay healthy. He's pitched only in very few games for the Yankees. He pitched a couple of games this season, but ultimately was sent back down. So Scott Efros is one guy that I could see being that could be non-tendered. So the Yankees, I think the Yankees should move on from him. I don't really see a reason why he is still on the team. The Yankees are gonna have. I think the Yankees should non-tender him. Another guy that I think that should be non-tendered personally, I think they need to non-tender Mark Leiter Jr. I don't think he's worth bringing back. In my opinion, I do not think he's worth coming. He's worth offering some money for arbitration. He's another guy that I think the Yankees should non-tender. Unfortunately, Mark Leiter Jr.'s time with the Yankees just hasn't really panned out the way I'm sure many of us had hoped. But he's one guy that I think the Yankees should non-tender. All right. Um, Ian Hamilton, personally, I know the Yankees had sent him back down to AAA to work on his mechanics, to work on his pitches, but ultimately, I think the Yankees can move on from him as well. All right, I think the Yankees could personally move on from Ian Hamilton. If they did move on from Ian Hamilton, I honestly would not have any issues with this whatsoever. And the other guys, so I said Efros, right? Ian Hamilton, Mark Leiter Jr. The other guy that I could see the Yankees moving on from is probably Jake Cousins. I could see them moving on from Jake Cousins. However, Jake Cousins, unfortunately, he had to get Tommy John surgery. So he missed all of, obviously 2025. He's going to miss all of 2026. Is there a scenario that the Yankees offer him a contract to sign to come back with the Yankees? I mean, they could, but I think he's another guy that the Yankees could potentially non-tender. So, the four guys that I'm looking at is Mark Leiter Jr., Ian Hamilton, Jake Cousins, Scott Efros. If the Yankees were to move on from those guys, non-tender those guys, and they could go test the free agent market, honestly, my feelings wouldn't be hurt whatsoever. If the Yankees were to move on from these guys, it would honestly save them some money too, right, to spend during free agency. So roughly the Yankees could, they save another, 2.7. Let's see, I'm just trying to do some math in my head. They're saving close to like $3 million or so if they were to non-tender these guys. So, that is money that they can use to their, for their payroll, to free up some payroll. Also, there is the opt-out option. It's a club option for the Yankees for Jonathan Loaisiga. And Jonathan Loaisiga, if the Yankees were to bring him back, he would get paid $5 million. But in all honesty, I think the Yankees need to move on from Jonathan Loaisiga. I think, he can. I hate to see him go, but ever since he's been a Yankee, he's another guy that's just not been able to stay healthy. All right, he's one guy that just has not been able to stay healthy. I think the Yankees, he needs to go. Right, it pains me to say that, but Loaisiga is a guy I don't think the Yankees will exercise his $5 million option. And then the other option is Tim Hill. Okay, Tim Hill has a club option as well. His club option, I believe, is $3 million. Ultimately, I think the Yankees do bring back Tim Hill. I do think that the Yankees are going to bring him back. I mean, I like Tim Hill. I like what he's done this season. He'd be a good lefty to bring back. I mean, he's been their only lefty really this offseason or during the season for the New York Yankees, and he's been solid. He's been relied on a lot, but I think the Yankees should exercise his option and bring him back for $3 million. All right, so I think the Yankees will bring back Tim Hill. They'll move on from Loaisiga. What up, Theo? What's going on, man? Good to see you. But they do need to add another lefty next to Tim Hill. But and since we're talking about pitching, the Yankees do need to work on the bullpen. All right, the bullpen certainly needs a lot of work, and we'll see what that bullpen looks like for the 2026 season. Now, ultimately, the rest of the guys that are on this list of arbitration eligible players, I do believe there's no doubt that a lot of these guys are going to come back All right, the Yankees are going to bring these guys back. The other big name that I'll mention is Jazz Chisholm Jr. Okay, let me take this off the list here. Is Jazz Chisholm Jr. Now, I think the Yankees will bring him back. But my question, though, I want to ask all of you, let me know in the chat, whether or not do you think the Yankees could potentially trade Jazz Chisholm Jr. to maybe get some pitching back, particularly for the bullpen, some good arms back? Because think about it. Jazz Chisholm Jr., he was a 30-30 player. He was great for the Yankees. I love what he did this season. But he is going to be a free agent after 2026. Now, if the Yankees are going to keep him, are they planning on keeping him after the 2026 season? Are they going to offer him a contract, or are they just going to let him walk? Right now, I like Jazz. Okay, I like Jazz. Now, sometimes he has his hiccups, no doubt, just like he did in that ALDS game where he missed a ground ball. But I wouldn't mind seeing him play for the Yankees in the 2026 season. I think the guy he brings a lot of good energy. He was a 30-30 guy. He did a lot of great things for the Yankees. All right, so I like Jazz Chisholm Jr. But ultimately, I'm wondering, should the Yankees trade him? Right, he is going to be a free agent, but you got to trade him. You got to trade him in the right deal. Okay, if the Yankees were to trade him, would I have a problem with it? No, and I would honestly trade him to a team that could offer us good pitching, particularly with the bullpen, because that's really my main. For me, it's my main focus is going to be the bullpen for the Yankees, because once again, that bullpen needs work. And there could be a scenario where, the Yankees could potentially trade Jazz Chisholm Jr. And, does he make sense? Would the Yankees offer him a contract when he becomes a free agent? I don't see it. Personally, I like Jazz Chisholm Jr., but I don't see a scenario where he is offered a contract by the New York Yankees for him to come back on a longer term deal. But I think. Oh, he's on contract through 27. Okay, well, even then, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder if they would still consider trading him. I thought he was a free agent after 2026, but I might be wrong on that. So my fault if I was. I do apologize. But either way, there could be a scenario. There could be a scenario that the Yankees could still trade him. Right. I'm just gonna throw that out there. And I saw a couple of other people come in. I saw Jake Boss come in. I saw Jacob Frederick come in. What's going on? Robert is in the building. What's up? But I did see some comments concerning Jazz Chisholm Jr. Jonathan says, yes, I could see Jazz traded for the right package. Jake Boss says, I like Jazz, but okay, trading him 30-30, that feast on bad pitching. Susan says, I think they may. Jazz is too inconsistent and strikes out a lot. She's also asking if they think that if we think that they'll trade Luis Hill. It's a possibility. I could see a scenario where Luis Hill does get traded in the right deal. That is okay. I could see something. I could see something like that happening. There's been kind of some chatter right during the off season whether or not Luis Hill or Will Warren can be traded in the offseason. Now, we got to keep in mind, right, Garrett Cole, recently he started pitching in the Yankee dugout, so it looks like he's trying to slowly make his comeback. I don't know how much. I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening day. If he's going to be ready for when baseball season starts in 2026. But I'm just kind of anticipating. Maybe Garrett Cole could miss the entire month of April and be ready for May. Right? We know. So I'm looking at that scenario. You also have Carlos Rodon, who's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season, right? And he had a bone spur removed just recently, so there's a possibility, or not a possibility, but he's going to miss a couple of weeks. I mean, I'm just saying worst case scenario. It could be longer than a couple of weeks, but I'm just going off of what what the Yankees are saying, right? It's not me saying this is what the New York Yankees are saying. I could just see a scenario where he might miss a little bit of a longer time. Now, Clark Schmidt, obviously, he's not going to be able to pitch till the second half of the season. How does he fit into the rotation, right? And then, you have Cam Schlittler, Luis Hill, Will Warren. I mean, not all of these guys are going to be able to fit in to the rotation, right? So, do the Yankees go out? Did they go out and get a starting pitcher, right? Not necessarily on a long-term deal, but just somebody as an insurance to kind of fill in to help the Yankees out and keep them as an option while these guys are making a recovery, right? While they're making their comeback. Because as of right now, right? Let's just say the rotation without Cole and without Carlos Rodon, you're looking at Max Fried. You're looking at Cam Schlittler, Luis Hill, Will Warren. Who's your number 5? Do the Yankees bring up one of their guys from the farm, or do they go out and get a starting pitcher that is a free agent that they don't have to necessarily sign them to a longer-term deal? Or do they look to one of their young guys? Right, there's a few young guys that have been shining there in the minors. Do they bring one of those guys up to start the season? Right. So these are some of the things that that the Yankees have to really think about. But I think the Yankees have to, ultimately, in my opinion, I think they should go out and get a starting pitcher. Right. I don't know if any of the guys that they have in the minors are ready. Right. There's a lot of potential down there. But personally, I think the Yankees should get someone, right? They need to sign somebody, or they could trade for someone too, right? They could also trade for somebody. The big name that's being mentioned right now, obviously, Tarik Skubal. All right, Tarik Skubal. Reportedly, there was a report saying that Skubal is probably going to get traded, right? Because he's going to be a free agent after this offseason, after the 2026 season. I don't really see the Tigers signing him back, especially at the price that he's probably going to get. I mean, he is a Scott Boras client. Also keep that in mind. So, Scott Boras is going to ultimately try to get the deal he possibly can for the most money, right? So there is that scenario where Skubal could be traded. Could the Yankees be players here? I don't know, right? I don't know if the Yankees would trade for Skubal on a 1-year deal, and what would that cost to trade Skubal? I mean, it's probably going to be an expensive trade. I think it'll be an expensive trade. So ultimately, do I think that the Yankees trade for him? If I had to predict right now, I don't think so. I do not think so. I think the Yankees do ultimately. I think the Yankees ultimately might look into potentially signing him when he becomes a free agent. All right, that's my prediction. I think the Yankees will look into him as a free agent. So let me know what you all think. And Jake is in the building. What's up, Jake? He says, realistically, I don't think teams are going to do much this offseason with the lockout coming. There's a bunch of no-name managers that have already signed. I can see teams doing anything crazy. You do bring up a good point. So that is very true. Yeah, Michael King, right, is a free agent. Any chances of the Yankees going after him? You know, it's funny. I was discussing this with Jason from 161 uh, yesterday, actually, because yes, Michael King is a free agent. Could the Yankees bring him back? Absolutely, absolutely, they could bring him back. I do think they could absolutely sign him back. He's familiar with the Yankees. He's one of the few guys that I was sad to see go during that Juan Soto trade. But that trade needed to get done at the time, and I understand why Michael King was traded. Could the Yankees bring him back? Absolutely, they could bring him back. Now, personally, again, discussing this with Jason, I probably would bring him back on probably a 3-year deal. I would say 3-year deal, 4 years at the most. I wouldn't go above 4. He would be a solid number 5 pitcher, I think, for the Yankees in that starting rotation. And the only way I wouldn't sign him back is bring Michael King back is if the Padres give Michael King a qualifying offer. I don't know that I would sign Michael King because any player that comes with a qualifying offer and whichever team signs them, they lose out on 2 draft picks and they have to pay up international, give up some of that IFA money, that international free agency money. So that's about $1 million. Okay, so. But Michael King, he's a name that I wouldn't mind the Yankees bringing back, but I wouldn't bring him back on a long-term deal. He is about 30 years old, I believe. I think when sometime in May, I think he'll turn 31. But I would bring him back on, at the most, I would bring him back on a 4-year deal. All right. Cruise Control, what's up, man? He says, call Rodon. May or June, probably get Michael King or a depth starter who could bullpen as well. Michael Lorenzen opted out as a stopgap guy, and Lorenzen was another guy, right? He opted out yesterday. Sure, could the Yankees sign him as a stopgap? Yeah, absolutely. They can sign him as a stopgap. If I had to predict it right now, I don't know. I don't think the Yankees sign a guy like him, but they could look at a guy like Michael King. I think the Yankees should look into him. But depends on if he comes in with a QO or not. Let me check some of the other comments here. Personally, I think the Yankees should try to go for a Japanese player, possibly Okamoto for offense and Imai for pitching. Yeah, and we'll get into the offense too. We'll get into the offensive players. So Okamoto is one guy that I thought about that's been discussed, right? Especially amongst Yankees fans. I think the Yankees should look into him. Absolutely. He plays first base, he plays third base. He's a righty bat. He's a good contact bat, which is something that the Yankees desperately need. They need some contact bats in that lineup. Because they were lacking in contact last season. There was a lot of power. Now the Yankees offense was incredible last year, because they were in the top 5 of the categories, but there was also some things that were missing in that offense too. And the contact bats was definitely one of them. And it was certainly lacking, right? Just getting those, working the fundamentals, getting those base hits, getting on base, right? They need a couple of bats that can hit for contact. So absolutely, I'd be down for that. Imai, I don't even know if he's been posted yet. I think he's gonna get posted. I'm not sure, but that's another guy that the Yankees could look into. Is Imai from Japan? He's a solid pitcher too. The Yankees could be, they could very well be active in the Japanese market, but we have seen in past at the Japanese market and the Yankees trying to sign these guys is going to be pretty tough, especially with the Dodgers being the big player there for Japanese players. All right. So, just to throw that out there. Cecilia, what's up, Cecilia? Thanks for popping in. and giving a like. Make sure you all hit the like button if you haven't yet. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. If this is the first time you're tuning in, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's continue growing this channel. I would appreciate it. Now, Jonathan says if they sign Okamoto, Rice could get traded. I don't see a place where Rice gets traded. I think the Yankees are going to keep Ben Rice. I personally, I do not think he's going anywhere. I could see a possibility of him taking, or not even a possibility, but I think there's a great chance that he could take over first base unless the Yankees have somebody else for first base. But personally, I think they should put him at catcher. All right, that's what I think. But we'll see what the Yankees ultimately decide. Jake says, I guess the question is, where would they play Okamoto? Because they already have McMahon and Rice might be their potential first baseman. Well, and that's just it. Could Okamoto, could he potentially? I don't think this is a guy that needs to be on the bench, but could he be that one of those platoon guys that with Ryan McMahon? Ryan McMahon's a lefty bat. Okamoto is a righty bat, but I don't see it. Right? Maybe they sign him and he ends up playing first base. Let's see if the Yankees are exploring Okamoto. Right? So the Yankees are. I'm sure they will. I'm sure. Again, I think they'll look into him, do their due diligence. I don't know if they're going to be contenders to sign him, but we'll just have to wait and see. Murakami, I mean, who knows where Murakami's going to go? I have no idea. Yeah, Kagawa. Yeah, I don't want to even think about that. If the Dodgers end up getting Kyle Tucker, well, they're going to be serious players for him, I think. But, speaking of Kyle Tucker, obviously you all know Jazz Chisholm Jr., or not Jazz Chisholm Jr., sorry. Cody Bellinger is now a free agent, right? So Cody Bellinger opted out of his contract as expected. The Yankees are definitely going to, they're going to make him a priority, I think. The Yankees do need a couple of outfielders, though. So now this is where it gets really interesting for the Yankees, right? Now, there are a lot of people out there that want the Yankees to go after Kyle Tucker, but I think the Yankees will check in on him, right? Again, they'll check in on Kyle Tucker. Do they ultimately sign Kyle Tucker? I don't know. In a surprise move, maybe they will, but I think they are going to do everything that they can to bring Cody Bellinger back and sign him back to a contract. What that contract is going to look like, I don't know. Now, personally, if you ask me, I personally do not think that Cody Bellinger is worth $30 million a season. I think that's a little too much for him. I think at the most, I would at the most, if it was me offering him a contract, I would offer him something that's going to be 27 to 27 and a half to $28 million a season. You offer him a contract that's going to pay him that much. But I don't think he's worth $30 million. Now, as far as Kyle Tucker goes, the Yankees are going to look into his market. I mean, I think they will. I know Susan's saying Hal won't spend for Tucker. Would be shocked if they did. Well, listen, if he was willing to spend for Juan Soto, I think he'll be willing to spend for Tucker. But it all depends on what his market's going to look like and whether or not the Yankees or think it's worth bringing him back, right? What about the Yankees adding a pitcher like Chris Bassett? Honestly, I see the Blue Jays bringing him back. I actually like Bassett, but I don't. Ultimately, I see him going back to the Blue Jays. And speaking of pitchers, Max Scherzer says he wants to pitch in 2026. Um, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, um, not paying $450 million for Tucker, it's insane. Not giving $450 million for Tucker's. Yeah, it's for Kyle Tucker. 24 likes, nice. Thank you all. Let's try to get those likes up. Yeah, Kyle Tucker. Listen, he's gonna get paid, right? He's gonna get paid. I think he's another one of those guys that, I think the Cubs are gonna offer him are gonna give him a QO. And by the way, qualifying offer, the money for a qualifying offer is $22 million. It's like 22.05. Okay, so ultimately he's gonna turn that down. But another reason why I think the Yankees wouldn't sign him is because, again, the Yankees lose out on a couple of draft picks, and they have to give up some IFA money, and the Yankees have some money tied up to a player right now. So I don't know that the Yankees are gonna sign any player that's gonna be tied to a qualifying offer. Although personally, I don't think the Yankees are going to sign Kyle Tucker. I think it's going to be another team. Don't be shocked if it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're definitely going to go and try and give offer him something. And if they ultimately could sign him. I mean, they can. They're most definitely going to be able to. They'll probably offer him they'll probably talk to him about a deferral too. So go sign with the Dodgers on a deferral. I could potentially see it happening. But Jonathan's saying no QO players. Susan's saying draft picks are important, but many picks don't work out. And that's the thing. The Yankees, if they were to go after a player with a qualifying offer, it could be one of those things where they say, what, we like this guy, we want this guy, we're willing to give up a couple of draft picks. Ultimately, that's what happened with Max Fried. Okay, Max Fried was he came with a QO, and the Yankees ended up signing him, right? So it was like the same thing with Juan Soto, right? The Yankees gave Juan Soto a QO. He ultimately ended up signing with the Mets. So, I'm not going to rule it out, But personally, if I had to predict, I do not think the Yankees sign Kyle Tucker. I think they're going to go at. I think they really want to bring back Cody Bellinger, and then I think Trent Grisham, he's probably not going to be back with the Yankees. I think Grisham ultimately will sign a contract with a different team. Could be the Mets, right? The Mets could probably be looking into Cody Bellinger, but I could see them maybe going after Trent Grisham. So Grisham, I think, it was funny. I remember about a month ago, I was saying I don't know that the Yankees would give Trent Grisham a qualifying offer because ultimately he might actually accept it. But then again, they could offer. I think now they offer him a QO, and I think he turns it down. And ultimately, I think he will get a contract from a team. I don't know what team that is, but I think he'll get a contract from a team, and sign with that team, whoever that may be, right? I'm not saying this will happen. I'm just telling you what I think, what my prediction is. So I ultimately think that, the Yankees now, honestly, I think he will get a QO. He'll turn down the QO, and there's going to be some team that's going to end up signing him, right, to a contract. Trent Grisham, I believe, is 29 or 30 years old. I'd have to look up how old he is, but I could see him ultimately getting a 4 or 5 year contract, not from a big team, like Mystic MMA says, maybe a mid market team. I could potentially see that, and I could see Grisham playing for another team. But now let's talk about the outfield, right? So if Grisham is not coming back, right, and let's say they sign Cody Bellinger back. Okay, fine. You have Cody Bellinger. You have Aaron Judge. What happens with that? What happens with that other outfield spot, right? So, we know Aaron Boone said that Dominguez is going to get, he's going to get more playing time now, in left field, right? He's going to get more playing time in the outfield. So it sounds like he could be he could be your everyday starter come next season, right? So if that's the case, is your outfield going to look like Cody Bellinger, Jason Dominguez, and Aaron Judge? If that's the case, what's going to happen with Spencer Jones? Now, Brian Cashman did say that Spencer Jones is going to get an invite to spring training, and he's going to play first spot, right? He's going to play first spot. He's definitely going to compete. So then, what happens with a guy like Spencer Jones? Does he become the fourth outfielder then? Or right, there's been a lot of chatter whether or not guys like Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez get traded, right? Do one of these guys get traded? Is that a possibility? It is a possibility, right? To answer my own question, it is a possibility. The Yankees could very well shop one of these guys to try and get something of value back, and they come with a lot of years of control. So it could be beneficial to the Yankees trading one of these guys, right? Now, I'm also thought about this scenario. What if the Yankees cannot sign Cody Bellinger back? And if they're not going to sign Kyle Tucker, then what? Then what happens? Right? Is the outfield going to be Dominguez, Jones, Judge? Could that, if some folks are envisioning a Yankees team where Dominguez and Jones are on the same team playing together on the major league roster. So if they don't bring Bellinger back, are the Yankees going to stick with Dominguez, Jones, and Judge? Is that a possibility? Which it is. To me, it is. It's definitely a possibility, especially if the Yankees cannot sign Cody Bellinger, right? And if they're not going to sign Kyle Tucker, right? Could those three guys being in the outfield together? Could that be a scenario? It could be a scenario, but the other thing to also think about is if the Yankees are, of course, they're always trying to compete, right? They're always trying to get to the World Series. Does that make our chances better of getting to the World Series? I don't know, right? I don't know. This is where this is what the Yankees have to think about. But I think bringing back Bellinger needs to be a big priority. I think they do need to bring back Cody Bellinger just to have some of that veteran presence in the outfield. And Bellinger, he did well with the Yankees. He fit well with the team. He was effective with the team, right? He was effective with the Yankees this season, especially at the plate. In the outfield, he was incredible, right? He was great in the outfield, made some great defensive plays. So he was a valuable piece to have on the team. So ultimately, I think the Yankees, right? If I had to predict, I think the Yankees bring Bellinger back, but there's a possibility where Dominguez or Spencer Jones could get traded, right? Again, I know Aaron Boone did say that Dominguez is going to get more playing time in the 2026 season. However, remember last year when there was a lot of hype talk from Aaron Boone and from Brian Cashman when it came to Caleb Durbin. Right, a lot of us had the speculation that Caleb Durbin was going to be your everyday second baseman because they weren't going to bring back Gleyber Torres. But then, next thing you know, they did a trade that none of us expected. They traded Caleb Durbin with Nestor Cortez to the Brewers to acquire Devin Williams, right? Which none of us saw that coming. So, could this be a thing where could there be a scenario where the Yankees are trying to hype up a guy like Dominguez or even Spencer Jones to try and hype these guys up, to try and get teams to ask about them? So my answer is, again, yes. I think yes. I do think that is extremely a possibility. All right, but let's see what direction the Yankees are going to head in, because there's a few different directions that they could absolutely head in, but who knows where they go, right? Who knows where these guys ultimately end up? And Susan says, my guess is that Dominguez gets traded. Wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, it would not surprise me. Jake has a comment here, says, I really don't think Caballero should be the starting shortstop. I think they need to go out and get a shortstop. Cabby's a good utility player in my eyes, but he's not. Yeah, and that's exactly it. And we'll talk a little bit more about the utility or everyday shortstop, because I don't think Caballero should be an everyday shortstop. I like Caballero, but not so much as an everyday shortstop. But he'll probably be, as of right now, unless the Yankees sign someone, right now he is your shortstop, because Volpe's had surgery on his labrum, so he's going to miss some time. Kyle Schwarber, sure, maybe he's another option. Again, will the Yankees be interested? Qualifying offer for Weaver Williams, not happening. Was he named American League MVP, or was he a finalist? $600 million to who? What's up, Aiden? How's it going? But like I was saying, Caballero, probably not an everyday shortstop. The Yankees, I think they should look into Bo Bichette. I do think that they should look at a Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette is going to be a free agent. And speaking of free agents, here's some notable free agents. Now, there are some names that I didn't add, but these are names that I saw that were free agents that are available. I'm not saying that the Yankees are looking at any of these guys, but I brought up Bo Bichette. Now, there are some Yankees players on here that are free agents. There might be a couple of these guys that I would consider bringing back. And once again, I think the Yankees, I think they should look at a Bo Bichette for shortstop. I do. Susan says Bichette's good hitter, not so much on defense. Yeah, this is true. He's not the greatest defensive player, but I mean neither was Anthony Volpe. But that is my only concern with Bo Bichette is his defense. There's also, just to throw the name out there, I'm not saying I want this guy, but Ha-Seong Kim, he could be a guy. I know he mainly plays second base. He could be a guy that the Yankees could look at. But really, none of these names, like Bo Bichette, Ha-Seong Kim, I like Bichette. I like Bichette for his bat. Ha-Seong Kim, he's got good defense, but he's not a guy that I would look into. But yeah, scrappy player, Ha-Seong Kim. What's up, Davey? How's it going? How about someone like Brandon Donovan if he's available for a trade? I heard the Cards were. Listen, Brandon Donovan, that is a name that I would love for the Yankees to go after. You know, if he is going to be made available for a trade, I would love for the Yankees to get Brendan Donovan. Great defensive player, a good contact bat. He's one of the names that I've been looking into over the last like couple of seasons. Again, Jason from 161, he's been making mentioning his name quite a bit too. A guy like him, yeah, I wouldn't mind him at all. I would not mind Brandon Donovan. That would be a solid bat right there. So Donovan is definitely a guy I would love for the Yankees to look into. My only concern with Donovan, though, honestly, is his injuries, because he was hurt quite a bit this season. He was hurt a lot this season, so that is my only concern when it comes to Donovan is his injuries. Or else, outside of that, the guy is solid, and the Yankees should. I think the Yankees should look into him to trading for him. I would love a guy like that. Yeah, Davey, you're talking about Imai, right? I don't know if he's been posted yet, but if he is, I wouldn't mind the Yankees looking into him. Right. So yeah, I don't. So if we're talking about shortstop, right? I wouldn't mind Boba. I know his defense is a bit of a problem, but again, ultimately, I don't know if the Yankees end up signing him. Well, it depends on the contract. It depends on the market. If you look at Spotrac is they're projecting him as, saying that his market value is 8 years at 186. And personally, do I sign him at 186 for 8 years? That is roughly, $23.25 million. Money, it's a long contract. I mean, 23.25. I feel like that value is right for him. Because last night I thought about Bo Bichette, and I thought 24-25 million was more, could be his market value. And let's see, he's 27. He'll be 28 when the season starts. So if you give him an 8-year contract, that takes him to his age 36. So there is that. Davey is asking me what are my thoughts on Adley Rutschman? Is it Adley Rutschman? I don't know. I do not know that name that you're talking about right there, unless if it was a typo. I think you meant to say Adley Rutschman from the Orioles, right? But Baltimore Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman, I wouldn't mind him at all. I would love for the Yankees to go after him, but is he available though? I mean, what's his status? Yo, what up, Max? What's going on, bro? Shout out to my boy Max. What's going on, dude? How are you feeling, Max? Mystic MMA says he'll quit baseball. Is he a free agent this season? I wasn't sure. Well, after the 2027 season, he's going to be a free agent. So if he leaves the Orioles and goes to the Yankees, I heard he might be on the trade. Oh, you heard he might be on the trading block? Yeah, why not? I like Adley Rutschman. I wouldn't mind the Yankees going after him. Honestly, I do not think that Austin Wells is the answer, personally. Yeah, I definitely don't think he's the answer. Yeah, he's a free agent after 2027. Yeah. but I don't think he's going. I don't know that he's going anywhere though. Honestly, the Orioles would be crazy to trade a guy like him. Honestly, so I had to carry this in my hands. And shout out to my man Ace. Ace is in the building, coming through. Says Chia, what up, Ace? What's going on, bro? Shout out to my guy Ace. Max is in the building too. Shout out to everybody in the chat again. Let's get those likes up. Hit those likes. Likes really does help out with the channel. But look, ultimately, I think the Yankees have a lot of work to do. The Yankees have a lot of work to do. Now the question is, what happens with first base, right? Because I don't think they're going to bring Paul Goldschmidt back. So are they going to stick with Ben Rice there, or are they going to explore a first baseman in the trade market, or could they sign a free agent first baseman? Let's keep in mind, Josh Naylor is going to be a free agent. The Yankees looking at somebody like him and sign him to a deal, right? Pete Alonso is also going to be a free agent. I know the Yankees want. I know a lot of Yankees fans want Pete Alonso, right? And speaking of wanting another player, Alex Bregman, another one. They want to. I know a lot of Yankees fans want Bregman. He's going to be a free agent. But if we're talking about first base, though, I don't think they're going to bring Goldschmidt back. I do think that they will. I think maybe Ben Rice could be the game. He could be part of the plans. He could be part of the plans. Mystic MMA, no freaking way. Nah. Not 7 years. No way, man. I wouldn't. I honestly, I'd rather the Yankees go after Josh Naylor, but he's that dude's solid. Pete Alonso's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not somebody that honestly I would want. But I'd rather them go after a guy like Josh Naylor personally. Max Coverage says, I want JT Real Muto. Bro, you know what? I'd be down to have JT Real Muto. On a 1-year deal, absolutely. The Yankees, and they need a right-handed bat for a catcher, man, because obviously they got Wells, they got JC Escada, they got Ben Rice, but those guys are all lefties. Those guys are all lefties. They need a righty bat. But I wouldn't mind JT Real Muto at all, man. On a 1-year deal, sign me up. Sign me up. And having that veteran presence on the team wouldn't hurt at all. I think it would be beneficial. So yeah, I wouldn't mind JT Real Muto, because ultimately I don't think Austin Wells is it, man. And it pains me to say that, but I don't think he's it. So no Bregman, Alonso maybe, Boris Alonso's agent. Yeah, Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman are both represented by Scott Boras. Yes. Imagine there, Davey. Mystic MMA says it's a very deep free agent class. It's not a lot of superstars. Yeah. There's a lot of free agents. And I think a lot of owners are going to be reluctant on offering long-term contracts, right? For long years, a lot of money, because ultimately after the 2026 season, you're going to have the CBA is going to be up after December 1st. And for the 2027 season, there's going to be a big lockout happening, right? Because, the owners are going to want a salary cap, and we know the players are not going to agree to it. So we might be in for a lockout, folks. So, we'll talk more about that later on. But, but for catcher, I would love for the Yankees to go out and sign JT Real Muto on a 1-year deal. I wouldn't mind that at all. And I think the Yankees should explore Josh Naylor and see what his market looks like, right? Now, if we're talking about third base, I think Ryan McMahon has that on lock. As of right now, shortstop, if that belongs to Caballero, but I think the Yankees need to look into a shortstop. Um, if it's Bo or if it's someone else, maybe they explore the trade market, right? If there's a player that's available for the trade, like a Brandon Donovan, maybe. Um, I think he can play shortstop. Second base belongs to Jazz, but first base is the biggest question mark, and then you got the outfield, and then the bullpen for the Yankees, and then also the Yankee bench. What is that bench is going to look? What that bench is going to look like? Now, I would like for it'd be cool for the Yankees to bring back Ahmed Rosario. I think the Yankees could bring him back potentially on a 1-year deal. I don't mind. Actually like Ahmed Rosario, but you also have Oswaldo Cabrera, who's going to be coming back too from his injury. So Oswaldo Cabrera is another one of those utility guys that can be used off the bench. His injury was unfortunate, but he's a solid switch hitter. Can also play anywhere in the infield except for probably shortstop. Play the outfield if you need him in a pinch. So maybe you do put him in the outfield. So there is that, but the Yankees certainly need to do something for the bench. And get into a few of the comments here. Jake is saying, honestly, if you're going to explore someone like Naylor, you might as well just have Ben Rice there. I think they could put more money elsewhere, but that's just me. Yeah, I'm just throwing out different scenarios, different ideas, right? I'm not saying, I don't know if the Yankees are going to sign Naylor, but I mean, if they did, I wouldn't complain. I think ultimately, I think they're probably going to look to stick Ben Rice at first base, but I personally would rather have him as the catcher. I mean, that's what he was brought up as. But I think as of right now, unless something changes, the catcher position primarily is going to belong to Austin Wells. Mystic MMA says for the bullpen, Jensen is available on a 1-year deal probably. They can look at Jensen. A lot of the bullpen guys, obviously we know the obvious names that are going to be back, but we know some names that I don't think will be back. I do not think that Loisaga is going to be back. I don't think that Luke Weaver is going to be back. I think those guys are going to be gone, right? I might be in the minority on this, but I wouldn't mind the Yankees bringing back Devin Williams, but on a reasonable deal, and definitely not as a closer. I'd bring him back as a setup man personally, because they got their closer in David Bednar. I don't know that I would bring back. Definitely not bringing back Williams in a closer role, but I would bring him back as a setup man. I think he did pretty well in a non-closer role, but I wouldn't. But yeah, with Devin Williams, I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but at the right price. If he wants to be a closer, he could be a closer on a different team. I think he could be a closer on a different team. Definitely not with the Yankees, because we saw what he did as a closer with the Yankees. That did not exactly pan out the way a lot of us thought it would. I wouldn't mind the Yankees bringing back Devin Williams, but only in a setup role. I don't want him back as a closer. I appreciate you sharing me on your community tab there, Yankee Kyle. Thank you so much. It's over. What's up? He says trade Spencer Jones and Luis Hill for Stephen Kwan and a prospect. The Yankees need a leadoff hitter, and that's another thing, man. The Yankees absolutely need a leadoff hitter, because nobody that they have right now on the team is really a leadoff hitter. I know there's been some chatter from people saying that they could put Jason Dominguez there, but I don't know if ultimately he's a leadoff hitter. He'd probably be your best guy as of right now, because all the other guys that they have right now on the team, I don't think are necessarily leadoff hitters. But As far as Stephen Kwan goes, Spencer Jones and Luis Hill, I don't think you're going to get a prospect from the Guardians, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than Spencer Jones and Luis Hill for a Stephen Kwan. I think the Yankees are going to have to give up a little bit more, and you might be looking at another. You might be looking at another player that's in the top 5 in Yankees prospects, and maybe you could give up a prospect that is between 10 and 15. So, I would love Stephen Kwan on the Yankees. I love Stephen Kwan, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than Spencer Jones and Luis Hill, honestly. So, Davey says Stephen Kwan, that is too much for Spencer Jones and Hill. I mean, if that's what it might take, though. But honestly, like I was saying, I think it's going to take more than those two guys to get Stephen Kwan. I would love Stephen Kwan. He's a solid bat. He's a solid leadoff batter. Great contact bat. Great in the outfield. Defensively, I would love for the Yankees to have him. But I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I think it's gonna be that's a pipe dream, right? To me. So I definitely don't see that happening. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, who knows what direction that the Yankees are going to head in. I mean, and this was something I was saying during the season, before the off season, that to me, this is going to be one of the most interesting off seasons for the New York Yankees, because they could go in a few different directions. So, they could go the free agent market, right? They're going to look into the free agent market, but I could see them being a little bit more active in the trade market. What do they do with Spencer Jones? What do they do with Dominguez? Right? Are they going to sign Cody Bellinger back? Are they going to look into potentially signing Kyle Tucker? Can they sign Kyle Tucker? I mean, they could sign Kyle Tucker, absolutely. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think they want to find a way to reunite with Cody Bellinger. I mean, they liked Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger liked the Yankees. He fit in well with the Yankees. He fit in well with the Yankee Stadium. He was a big contributor for the Yankees during the regular season, right? So ultimately, I would love to have him back, but I also see a scenario where either Jones or Dominguez, they could potentially get traded. Absolutely, they could absolutely get traded. I do think that. Right now, as far as free agency, as far as the offseason goes, the Yankees, they're roughly going to have about $70 million to spend. So how do they spend that? How do they spend that $70 million? Because there are some holes that they need to fill, right? I don't know if they're going to fill it all with the free agent market, but they need to definitely explore the trade market and try to be calculated there. All right. The Yankees could go several different ways, but one thing is for certain, I think they're going to try and find a way to bring Bellinger back. I think that's going to be one of their main priorities. And I think their other main priority needs to be improving the bullpen, right? The bullpen certainly needs a lot of work. They need a lot of work in that bullpen. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, but bullpen certainly needs to be looked at. Hopefully they can make some improvements with that. And, the bullpen is a little bit more consistent for 2026 because 2025, it was a mixed bag. It was very up and down when it came to the Yankee bullpen. Let's see what they do ultimately. All right. Have a nice night, Susan. Thanks for coming in. I'll probably wrap it up here pretty soon. I've been live for almost an hour and a half, which is, I'm not complaining. It's always a great time hanging out and talking with all of you. I'll be going live like this. You know, I, I'll let you know. Just keep your notifications on. I won't go. During the off season, I don't go live as often because really baseball season's over, right? So I'll go live. If there's any news or if there's any buzz or anything like that, I'll definitely go live. But you know, um, like I said, I think the Yankees are going to prioritize Cody Bellinger, right? And I think the Yankees are going to really have to, be very strategic this offseason. And I'm sure, I'm sure they want to obviously improve, and they want to, the goal is obviously the World Series, right? And I'm sure Cashman would like to make some big things happen. I mean, after all, his contract is up after the season. What ultimately happens with him? But the thing is, it's not up to Cashman to spend the money. How much money on as far as money being spent? That's up to Hal Steinbrenner. In terms of like how much money he's willing to spend to improve the team. What's up, Ken? How's it going, man? Good to see you, Ken. Mystic MMA says the only positive from an AL East fan perspective is the Red Sox could get a lot weaker this offseason. I don't know about that because the AL East is for real, man. The Blue Jays are for real. So I mean, if the Yankees are trying to make improvements, if they're trying to compete, they got work to do. They got to compete with the likes of the Blue Jays. We saw what the Blue Jays did, and this Blue Jays team, watch out for them next season. The Orioles, that's another team. I would watch out for the Orioles. The Orioles, I think, are going to be a different team for the 2026 season. The Red Sox are a team that you just never ever count out. Right, the Boston Red Sox, they could very, they'll definitely be a thorn, right, on the Yankee side. You gotta watch out for the Orioles, for the Red Sox too, right? I'm watching out for these guys, and the Rays, right? I mean, even though you could say that the Rays may not be as competitive as the rest of those teams in the AL East, but they're still a pesky team, though. They're still a pesky team. Ken saying, just getting back, setting up for tomorrow's election. What did I miss? Well, just really talked about the World Series. Just kind of gave my thoughts on the World Series, and just talking about the Yankee offseason, all the free agents that are available, who the Yankees are going to look into, what direction that the Yankees are going to head in, because there's a few different ways they could go during this off season, and it's going to be really interesting to see what direction they ultimately decide to take, and just kind of talked about the players that are arbitration eligible, and some of the guys that they can non-tender, right, and money that's already committed for 2026, and just some of the important dates coming up in the off season there, Ken. Pretty much that's what I covered. Do I see Bellinger walking? It's a possibility, but I think the Yankees are going to prioritize signing him back. I don't know what that deal is going to look like, but I was saying earlier, I don't think he's worth $30 million. I don't think Cody Bellinger is worth $38 million. I would pay him $27.5 per season, 28 at the most. But that's as far as I would go with Cody Bellinger. I don't think he's worth $30 million a season, in my opinion. Let me know what you think, Ken. But yeah, I ultimately do not think that he's worth $30 million. Yes, there's music being played in the background right now there, Ken. I'm playing that music right now. I figured, play a little music in the background. I just to kind of kill any all awkward silence that there might be. So yes. And then yeah, the other thing we talked about too, Ken, was just the different different options for the players for the Yankees in terms of their who they could look into for the infield, catcher, outfield. There's players that they absolutely need to add. Ken says, "No way, no how. I paid Bellinger more than 30 AB contract." Yeah, I honestly, I think he's more deserving of like 27 and a half. 28 is as far as I'll go. But that's just me, man. I wouldn't go any further than that, honestly. So Japanese player, I mean Okamoto. I wouldn't mind the Yankees looking into Okamoto, but you know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, folks, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Right, been live for a little over an hour and a half. But don't expect there to be a lot of news. Right, obviously, as of right now, as far as the free agents, the only teams that they could talk with are the teams that they currently played for. But on November 6th, which is in 3 days, player free agency begins, so it's open season. Players can start talking to other teams. You might hear a couple of deals getting done, but ultimately, a lot of these big signings, a lot of big names are probably going to come off the board during the winter meetings, which is on from December 7th through the 10th. So we're a little over a month away. Those winter meetings will be in Orlando, Florida. So stay tuned, folks. But of course, like if something happens, if there's any kind of news or any chatter or anything like that, I'll definitely go live. We'll talk. All right, we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, just go ahead and enjoy yourselves, enjoy your night. Try to enjoy the off season. It's gonna be another long off season, but before you know it, the 2026 season will be back, and we'll get back to our regular scheduled programming, hopefully. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for hanging out. You guys and gals are the best. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time. See y'all later.